Hello everyone. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are going to be doing my TBR for the month of June, which is wild because these are the last books I'm going to get to before I need to make my best books of the year video. So these are my last ditch efforts at trying to get some more favorite books in. So I'm really excited about all of these. I'm always excited about my TBRs because I own the books most of the time, or I have library holds, which means I want to read them. But this is like a mix that I'm just really feeling good about. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into the books in my usual way as I do on my TBRs, which is the order that I'm most likely to read them. Now, my book haul revisit for the month of May, which is where I look at all the books I bought in previous Mays and I pick one that I have not yet read and put it on my TBR. I have filmed that video, so one of these books is from that. I'm not going to tell you which one as I go over it, so it'll be a little bit of a mystery for when that video still comes out, but you might be able to tell, who knows. But let's start with the book that I'm most likely to read, and that's because I've already started it, and that is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is by Hodder, these editions, and this is a part of the Wayfarer series, which is a trilogy. They're sci-fi, and I own the whole trilogy. I rarely do this, but I think whenever I bought these, I was like freshly watching BookTube and everybody was really excited about these, and I thought, oh, I need some other genres on my shelves to turn to when I'm just getting bogged down in stuff that feels too samey, and I think that I could really enjoy these. I did already read from Becky Chambers once before. I read To Be Taught If Fortunate, which is a novella by them, and I really loved it. I thought it was great. So these could definitely be a hit for me, and I needed a change of pace in the genre that I was reading. So I'm 50 pages into this, and the setup is you're following this cast of characters. They all comprise a crew on the Wayfarer ship, which is like a working ship in space. This takes place in the future. They're a tunneling ship. I'm not really sure exactly what that means yet, but it has already the setups to be like a found family type of vibe, which I think this author does a lot. Our main protagonist is Rosemary, and Rosemary is freshly out of university and gets a job as a clerk on the Wayfarer. Also as kind of like a translator. They're good with a particular language, but they know several languages. You know from the very beginning that they have a lot of secrets in their past. They have changed their identity in order to get a job on this ship, and they're out of money. So they're really desperate for this opportunity to work. And that's this inciting premise that you're starting with. So I'm intrigued so far. I am listening to this on audio, and I do like the narration so far. So I have high hopes that I would really enjoy this. And potentially, I own the other two in the series, so if I really like it, I could try and read the rest, and that would help me with my completing series goal this year. So that is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Next up, we have Consent by Annabel, Lyon. This is published by Knopf, and this was longlisted for the Giller Prize a number of years ago. I think it came out in 2020. And this book follows two sets of sisters. So what are their names? There's a set of twins, Saskia and Jenny, and they're very different from each other. And Jenny gets in an accident and is severely injured, and Saskia comes back to basically help take care of her. And then we follow another set of sisters. Their names are Sarah and Maddie, and their mother has recently passed away. And Sarah now has to be a caretaker for Maddie because Maddie has, it says an intellectual disability, so I'm not sure what specifically, but it's these two sets of sisters where one sister is now in this role of a caregiver and the other one is having to receive care. And I'm really intrigued at how this author is going to deal with that dynamic and this sense of obligation and guilt and resentment and all those types of things that come up in that tricky dynamic. So I'm hoping that this will be really good and get into like that deep family drama that can really resonate and feel very realistic. So that is Consent by Annabel, Lyon. And then we have Consent by Vanessa Springora. This one is translated from the French. Let's see by whom. It's not on the cover. By Natasha Lehrer, and it's published by Harper Via. And this is nonfiction. This is about the author's experience being groomed by a very famous French writer. And a lot of people at the time knew that this writer was grooming young women and didn't do anything about it because people were profiting off of his fame. And this is the author's experience of getting to finally tell her story from her voice. And I know this will be very hard hitting, but I'm really excited to read it. I've heard great reviews of this. And what might I be doing with these two books that have the same title? Who knows? But yeah, I'm excited to read both of these. And I'm excited to make that video on these. So that will be coming up this month. Now we're getting into, these ones probably all have the same chances of being read. I didn't pick a huge TBR this month because I'm really trying to specifically read certain things. But next up we have W3. This is also nonfiction. And the reason why both of these are on my TBR, these two nonfictions, is because my nonfiction shelves are overflowing. So I'm trying to read through some very intentionally, and I'm attempting to read 2 nonfiction books a month, at least one, but I'm trying to shoot for 2. So that's why these 2 are on my TBR. This one is by Bette Howland, and it is published by Public Space Books. I've put this on a couple TBRs before and it hasn't happened for me yet, but I do think I'm going to do it this month finally. And it's about the author's experience in a psychiatric ward. W3 was the specific name of the ward that they were in, all taking place in 1968. And I think this could be really informative of what the experience was like to be in a psychiatric ward as a woman at that time. And this book, the author says, like, she wrote this book to help keep her alive, and it was very cathartic to write it for her. So really excited to get to this one as well, but it will also be hard-hitting, I would imagine. So next up, for another little change of pace, we have The Feast. This is by Margaret Kennedy, and it's a McNally Editions book, and I have a few of these. I really enjoyed Daddy Goes A-Hunting, which is a McNally Editions. This takes place in 1947. It's an upstairs, downstairs novel, so getting into class structure. It all revolves around this hotel that I think gets damaged or destroyed by, is it an earthquake or like a landslide, something like that? Oh yeah, when a cliff comes tumbling down. So there's a landslide and 7 guests are killed in the disaster. And I think they're supposed to represent the 7 deadly sins. So I'm really fascinated by that premise. I'm going to attempt this on audio, I think, because the font is pretty small, but if I don't like the audiobook, I'll just switch back to the print. I do love this edition as well. So I think this will, again, be another good change of pace with the time period, but also the fact that it's trying to incorporate the 7 deadly sins, and there's death, and like, who knows? I think it could be good. So that is The Feast. And then we have Cold Nights of Childhood. This is by Tezer Ozlu, and it's translated by Maureen freely from the Turkish, I believe, but let me just double check. Yeah, from the Turkish, and it's published by Transit Books. I adore this cover as well. And this book is following a protagonist that might be unnamed. She's returning to Istanbul, I think after being in a psychiatric ward. So there's maybe some connections to some other books here. And I think it's just her inner monologue as she's returning to Istanbul. And it says it's portrayal of psychological struggle, feminine desire, and repressive patriarchal society. So sign me up. Sounds good to me. This was originally published in 1980. And I think it was the last book that this author wrote before they passed away a number of years after this came out. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's also very slim. So that is Cold Nights of Childhood. And lastly, we have Piglet. This is by Lottie Hazel, and it's published by Henry Holt. And this one has been getting such good reviews from what I've read. Spoiler, this is a 5-star prediction for me for this year, but I haven't made that video for my 5-star predictions, and I've been putting it off because I have to finish my last set of 5-star predictions, and there's only one book left and it's taking me forever to read. So I've been putting this off until I can make that video, but I do think I'll be making that in June. So I'll finally be able to read this. I have been looking forward to reading this since I got it, I think in March, and it sounds so good. This is following our main character who has a nickname of Piglet. I don't know if it gives her actual name, but she got the nickname Piglet when she was very young, and she is engaged. Her life is basically a dream, and then leading up to her wedding, her fiance tells her this secret. I think there's like some type of betrayal. You don't know what happens. And Piglet decides to go through with the wedding anyway, but as you get closer and closer to the wedding, she starts having this insatiable appetite. Appetite for what? I do not know, but I'm really excited. This book sounds plotty and messy and fun, but I'm down for some juicy secrets coming out, and I'm always down for some commentary on disordered eating, which I do think this has in it based on the blurb. So yeah, I think I'm gonna love this. And I also adore the cover. You can tell that I think I'm gonna love it because I rarely pre-order a hardcover copy of a book, and I think this might be the only hardcover that I have pre-ordered this year, and I normally only do 1 or 2 a year. So really excited to get to this, and I'm excited that so many other people have been loving it because it just confirms my suspicions that this is going to be good. So that is the TBR for the month of June. Let's lift it so you can see all the books here. And thank you for watching. Let me know if you are excited about any of these books. If you've read any of them, let me know what you thought. And I will see you in the wrap up at the end of the month when I review them. Bye.